What is up, guys? Welcome back to Dude Ranch DIY. My name is Jake.
And I'm Chris.
And we are out here in the wood yard. It is a beautiful Saturday today. As you can see behind us, we got a pile of rounds, some of which I cut up, some of which neighbor Sean brought over this morning, his famous Landscaper 16. So that we're kind of going to divide and conquer today. We're going to be splitting up the stuff that we cut up that we know is 16-inch for the totes, and then all of the stuff that neighbor Sean brought over, we're going to split into either Chris's truck or the dumpster can of the International, and we're going to bring it over to Chris's so that he can burn that in his wood stove. Because what, your wood stove's the same as mine. It takes up to what, maybe like a 22-inch piece?
Yeah, roughly 22-inch, 22, something like that.
Yeah, so that'll be nice to have the longer stuff. You can maximize the firebox next year. But yeah, we just don't really want to be selling wood that's all varying sizes because some people ask me, how long is your wood? And I can say 16 inches, and then they can determine whether or not it'll fit into their stove or whatever. Today we are going to be using the new Baumalight TRL620D Mini Skid Steer with the Martatch log grapple. We've used it a little bit for firewood, just in testing, Chris and I, but today we're really going to put it through its paces, grabbing logs off the pile over there and cutting and bucking up. Hopefully, if we can make some room with all this stuff, we're definitely going to be using it to push the rounds closer to the splitter, and we got 4 totes underneath the Eastonmade conveyor, so we're gonna get going here. You got anything to say?
Let's get to it.
All right. guys, we made a nice dent in that pile. We just got a little bit left of the stuff that we know is cut to 16, and then we can get over to the stuff from neighbor Sean, the Landscaper 16. We did that in exactly 1 hour. We started at 1:30 and we finished at 2:31. So an hour and 1 minute, which is pretty on par for filling up 4 totes.
Yeah, pretty on par. I was noticing while the splitter was running, especially through the beach, it seemed to kind of struggle through it. I was wondering what you were noticing operating it with the beech versus the maple.
Yeah, there was beech, maple, and birch all kind of mixed in together, and it all, pretty much dries at the same rate and is roughly the same burn time. But I did notice that it was kicking into the second stage of the pump quite often. But I mean, as we know, beech is pretty tough stuff to split, in general. And the maple that we were splitting was not soft maple. That was sugar maple, aka hard maple or rock maple, as some people call it. And it was a pretty big tree, sections of it. So I think there were a lot of knots I was finding that were embedded within the round. Although the round didn't appear to outwardly have any big knots or anything on it, I think inside the grain was pretty twisty and stuff. And again, that tree was taken by the tree service. It was brought here by the tree service. So I'm guessing that the tree might have been growing at like an angle or something, because a lot of that stuff, although it appeared to be nice rounds, it was tough. And I mean, mind you, we are going through, we're pushing it all through the 7-way pizza box wedge here that Eastonmade offers, which is the smallest size wood you're going to get out of a box wedge. So it creates the most scrap, it creates the smallest pieces, and it's the toughest on the machine. Now, the 2228 has the power to go through it, no problem. I actually received an email or a comment from a guy that said he bought a 2228. He asked me for a recommendation on what type of box wedge to buy with it, and I said I put everything through a pizza box wedge for the most part, and he gets tree service wood similar to the way that we do. And he said, Jake, you're absolutely right. The 2228 has plenty of power to push through it. Does it create a bunch of mess? Yes, but are you getting, nice square pieces out of what would otherwise be nasty, gnarly, knotty pieces? And, we do. So the proof is in the pudding here, guys. We'll spin you around here and take a look at these 4 totes. The sweet spot method seemed to work pretty good. I think we were lined up, left to right, but it seemed like these back totes were kind of struggling to get filled naturally. Is that true?
Yeah, it seemed to struggle naturally, but if you look down here, we are right on top of our pin.
Yeah, we're right on our pins that we marked in here, and those pins are supposed to be lined up with this first, bar. And as you can see, they are. That one is down there, and this one over here. So we're right on the money. So I don't know, why they weren't necessarily filling up these back ones quite as well, but I'd say that these got full, and by the time those front 2 were full, these back 2 were probably like 2/3 or halfway full. Yeah. So you had to pull a lot into them.
Yeah, probably for the last third or so, I was pulling everything off of the cone and putting it in here, handling every little piece that came off of the conveyor. Yeah.
So that wasn't great, but I mean, the fact that we're able to get 4 totes done in 1 hour is pretty good. All right, so you were running the Baumalight Mini Skid Steer with this Martatch Grapple basically for the first time while we were doing Firewood. What do you think about it, and how it, added or, helped the process, our process?
I think having a mini skid steer is ideal for this scenario. I took one piece and I put it on the cutting logs, and while that works, that's what we do. We're kind of working around this Landscaper 16 pile that we're not necessarily just going to put right through the machine. So having the mini skid steer with this smaller grapple, I was able to come to the side of it and cut closer to the machine. That way we had our perfect 16s pile away from the Landscaper 16.
Yeah, I noticed you were bringing the machine up here and cutting directly out of the grapple, which was nice because, otherwise neighbor Sean kind of dumped this pile right in front of our cutting logs, which is exactly what I told him to do. But because we're going to split those separately, it kind of was in the way of using the cutting logs the way that we normally do. So I mean, that was definitely nice to be able to maneuver it and kind of get it into tighter spots. It probably would have been a little tougher with the tractor and the Wicked Grapple, especially because the Grapple's so much wider on the tractor.
Mm-hmm. The other thing that I noticed while cutting out of the Martatch Grapple is it really spreads the mess out. The bar on a chainsaw is to the far right side, and that's your tightest clearance. So I'm working from left up to the grapple, and then I have to turn around and work from the left again towards the grapple, rather than having all of the sawdust coming one direction.
So you're
going two directions.
So you're saying it's like spreading it out both ways, right. Which I actually noticed as well, because at times I would be splitting and all of a sudden I was getting sawdust, like I felt it hitting me in the back, and I just saw the cloud of dust. So that is definitely something to note. I mean, granted, we don't have the largest facility here. It's kind of tight, at least this area. We try and contain the mess as best as we can. So it's not the end of the world that the sawdust is going every which way, because we could just come in with the back or the bucket on either of the machines and kind of clean it up. But that is something we're just trying to figure out the process here, I think, with this thing, and how we can best use it to aid and facilitate in more productivity, because that's what we're always going after here, as a lot of you guys know. So if you have any comments or feedback on how we could potentially implement use of this new mini skid steer now that we have it into our workflow, let us know down in the comments below. Or if you have a machine similar to this and you use it for cutting wood and moving rounds and logs and stuff like that, drop a comment and let us know what you think. Well, okay. Well, all right, guys, that's going to wrap up this video. Chris and I are going to keep cranking away at the wood here, but in order to achieve higher production, the biggest thing we can do is simply not film. So that's what we're going to do. Just cracked a beer. It's a beautiful day. Cheers, buddy. We're going to get back at it. So as always, guys, if you liked the video, give it a big thumbs up. If you haven't done so already, click that subscribe button down below. Questions, comments, feedback, drop a comment down in the comment section. But for now, I'm Jake.
And I'm Chris.
This is Dude Ranch DIY. Thanks so much for watching. See you here next time. That sweet, sweet nectar.